With the trade deadline fast approaching, Joe Douglas and the New York Jets will have a lot of tough decisions to make. And while there are some players on this team that are untouchable going into this deadline, there are others that Joe Douglas could be looking to move in order to not only free up cap space going forward, but to get more draft picks to help expedite the rebuild. So here are 5 New York Jets who could be traded at the NFL trade deadline. Number 5, Tevin Coleman. Now, Coleman's not going to get much in return. If you're lucky, you might get a 6th-round pick, but he's a veteran on a 1-year contract. He's not a long-term plan for the Jets. And surprisingly, Michael Carter has arrived before schedule. He's getting the majority of the snaps. He's looked really good. And here's the thing with the Jets, and I understand that you want to have a good running game for Zach Wilson. Even if you trade Tevin Coleman, you're not really losing a lot. You have a lot of guys that have proven, like Ty Johnson, Michael Carter, that they can handle the workload, that they are just as talented. And look, Coleman's fallen out of favor. He got a lot of snaps the first week, but right now it is clear he's third in the pecking order. If there's a team that has major running back injuries, maybe the Chiefs with Clyde Edwards-Helaire going down, there's a lot of teams that have running backs that are getting nicked. He could be a valuable 3rd down back for them and could get the Jets maybe a late round draft pick for someone that's clearly not going to be in the long-term plan. Number 4, Nathan Shepard. If you ask most Jet fans, especially after the London game, they would say good riddance to Shepard. Now, Shepard, like Coleman, could provide a team with some defensive tackle depth. He's clearly not one of the front focal points in the defensive line rotation. And another big thing, and this will be a common theme throughout this episode, is he is not a Joe Douglas guy. He's from the Mike Maccagnan regime. And it's clear that Douglas has tried to purge the roster of these Maccagnan picks. Shepard, like Coleman, is not going to get you much, but he could get you a 6th or 7th round draft pick for a guy who is also a free agent, likely not back. And it's one of those things you're just trying to get something from him and not lose him for nothing. And it's not going to be a big loss. If anything, it might be a gain because he won't be committing stupid penalties for a Jet defense that can ill afford them. Number 3, CJ Mosley. Now, this is the toughest one of the lists. Of all the big 3 that I'm going to talk about next, I believe Mosley is the most likely to stay. He's impressed the coaching staff. He's played great this season. He's looked like he's returned to his old form. But there could be an issue with his contract. Because remember, this contract is not team friendly. If he is on the roster, he is fully guaranteed $16 million next year, which will take up over 8% of the entire Jets cap. 8% for a middle linebacker. That is a lot of lettuce. And look, Mosley has looked good. He's looked healthy. He looks like he is making plays all over the field this year, and he's been a nice pickup. But the Jets have also found Quincy Williams. They get Jared Davis back soon. They gave him a contract this offseason. And look, Mosley is a great building block. But could a team give the Jets a good offer, maybe a mid-day 2 pick? It might be hard for Joe Douglas to turn that down because despite how good CJ Mosley is and that you want talented players on the defense, that big of a contract number is going to be a potential issue. And once again, Mike Maccagnan signed CJ Mosley to this contract. And while Mosley has played well this year, it's also a little bit hard considering that he sat out the entire season last year and that he's going to have that $16 million cap hit potentially next year. So it could be a situation, not necessarily that the Jets aren't happy with the production, but they do not want to get stuck with that huge contract number. Number 2, Jamison Crowder. For once, the Jets have almost too many receivers. I know this is unbelievable to believe, especially after the season before with Sam Darnold basically throwing to practice squad players, it felt like every other week. Look, Crowder has been good when he came back from his injury, but there's a big problem with the Jets, which is they need to see what they have in Elijah Moore, who works better out of the slot. They have Braxton Berrios has shown he's a capable slot receiver, and they also have Denzel Mims that I know everyone, including myself, want to see on the field. But right now, there's just too many receivers on the field. Keep in mind, Crowder's a free agent at the end of the season. Jets are likely not bringing him back. And on top of that, the Jets also renegotiated the contract this offseason for him to take less money, or else they were going to cut him. So it's clear that the Jets didn't prioritize him this offseason because they wouldn't have asked him to restructure his contract. He did, and he could be a nice slot piece for a team that's competitive. He's right now, like I said, last year of his contract. He could be an impact player for a postseason team, especially if they lose a big slot receiver or they're looking for a dynamic third or fourth receiver to help bolster their chances. And maybe like a team like Arizona. I know they have a lot of receiving talent, but this is a veteran guy that could maybe help some of those other young guys develop in that room. I just see Crowder being valuable to another team. The Jets are likely going to lose him at the end of the offseason. And if the price is right, you can get like a third round pick for him. I would absolutely do that trade, not only because you're getting draft capital, but you're opening up more playing time for Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims, who are two building blocks who you want to see what they can do. And number one, Marcus Maye. Look, I understand the DUI case, but the way the NFL works is that will probably be assessed to next season. The thing with Marcus Maye is the Jets have to get the right value. If a safety desperate team comes along and gives them a second or third round pick for Marcus Maye, I believe Joe Douglas will pull the trigger and move Marcus Maye. There are a lot of reasons why it makes sense. Joe Douglas and his coaching staff don't want to overpay for the safety position. It was clear Jamal Adams. They don't feel comfortable giving another big long-term extension to Marcus Maye. However, this trade might not get done at the deadline. Maybe the Jets hold on then a year, franchise tag him then, and then trade him in the offseason when teams have a better idea with their cap. But if Marcus Maye comes back, looks healthy, like his agent said, he'll be healthy for the trade deadline, in a team that needs secondary help. We've seen the Chiefs have issues in the secondary. We've seen the Buccaneers have issues with their secondary. If they're willing to pony up a second or third round pick, which is around the value that Marcus Maye was drafted at, it's going to be hard for Joe Douglas to say no. And then he gets another albatross of a contract off the books that he clearly doesn't want. And look, Marcus Maye is a good player. It might not be the worst thing in the world to keep him this year and trade him in the offseason, but we've seen a lot of talented players in the secondary go down the season in the NFL, and there are a lot of teams that at the deadline are going to go all in. And if people feel that Marcus Maye is a missing piece to a secondary or can help elevate an injured secondary, and they might give the Jets an offer that they cannot refuse. Thank you so much for joining us on Rich Sports Talk. Want more New York Jets content? Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And of course, look at the channel because we are going to have weekly polls where we want you, yes, you, to vote on what Jets content we will be doing this week. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and give us a like. We want to get this out to as many Jet fans as possible. And the more you like and the more you watch, the more Jet fans we can bring into this community. But until next time, I'm Nolan Rich, and this is Rich Sports Talk.